Dave Mann from the Hope Project, who joins us now. Dave, kia ora, nice to see you again.
Kia ora, Andrew.
Halloween is a contentious one, and there is some serious aspects to it. Whoever thought it was a great idea to dress your child as something demonic and send them wandering the streets by themselves to knock on strangers' doors and demand sugar? Seriously, when you say it out loud, it doesn't sound like a good idea, but it is something, I think mostly for commercial reasons, that we seem to have embraced as a society here in Aotearoa.
Yeah, you're dead right. I mean, going along, trick-or-treating actually came from pagan festivals around about, more than 1,500 years ago. And it would be people going around to get money and food in exchange for praying for your dead relatives.
Wow.
Within paganism. So that's where trick-or-treating itself came from. And you'd wear masks because the demons might possess you, who came out for the dark of winter. And so the mask meant the demon couldn't work out who you were. So you were protected. So that's their history. But yeah, I mean, if Halloween is about celebrating evil, then there's absolutely no question that Christians should have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But in the scriptures, we are told to make the most of every opportunity. But I mean, to cover the bad first, so everybody gets their point one. I love 3 points from J. Johns. He says, first of all, Halloween deceives us about evil.
Yep.
Because it creates a cartoon caricature out of evil, whereas evil actually wrecks people's lives. People I know who are engaged in the occult, their lives aren't better because of it.
Yeah.
I think of one friend of ours does occultic type things. She has what she calls night terrors, in other words, nightmares, just continuously. That's a normal part of her life, and she doesn't think it's strange. So evil isn't good. For J. John's 3 points, Halloween deceives us about evil. It distracts us about evil, and it denies the defeat of evil. I think what we have to bring to the table as Christians is that evil, hopefully we all agree, isn't good. Good can triumph evil, light can triumph darkness, and that's where Christian messaging and focus needs to be.
That is, I suppose, a very clear point, and I appreciate there will be people engaging with this content who go, yes and amen to that. However, how we engage with this, do we say, hey, we're going to do an alternative, and you can only dress as Bible characters or angels? I know some churches do that. Do you put a sign on the door which says no trick-or-treaters, we're Christians praying for you and your children, or something? And again, that's a response of a bunch of people. Do you open the door when the children knock and say, here's some Bible tracts? I don't know, lots of different options on this one, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is where Halloween in New Zealand is quite new. It's probably 20 to 30 years old. It's a commercial festival. It's not a demonic one, but it venerates things that are evil. The church in New Zealand, I think, now needs to work out where it fits in this picture.
Yep.
I mean, the really fantastic start, which probably 100 or 200 churches have already done, or churches together, is light parties. Mm-hmm. And the idea behind these is to provide a positive alternative to the negative celebration, and the encouragement is that you turn up as a superhero, which is someone who fixes things,
yep,
rather than turning up as a demon or a ghost who scares and destroys things. So that's a beginning point. But the question is then, what's our messaging within that? Obviously, a light party is a fantastic community connection. Obviously, we're distracting away from the celebration of evil by nature of it. But I personally think there's more opportunity here. But we need to work out how to achieve that. At the most basic level, we extend invitations.
Yep.
So, for example, in our church, our pastors stand at the door. We have about 2,000 to 3,000 people turn up for a light party. And there are welcome packs with lollies passed to the adults, and that includes information. And very intentionally, there are, for example, parents turning up with babies. They get invited to mainly music.
Okay.
They get told there's a Sunday school because people might want to come. There might be parents, and you see there's teenagers or young teens. They get told, and they get the youth group promoted to them, and there's flyers that pass on this information. We have a church-based scouts group. We also run courses for parenting, grief care, marriage, these kind of things. So it can very intentionally be a promotional opportunity to say, hey, we're here as churches to help, and there's some amazing help available. But I think we've still got to work out how we can take that further.
This is a bit of a challenge because for some people, they would say, okay, no, we're going to do an alternative to Halloween, and we're not going to do the spooky stuff, and it's going to be our thing that we do, which shows that the church is fun. However, what do you do when kids from the neighbourhood who are all dressed up as who knows what turn up to come to your light party? Do you say, no, you've got to take off that evil rubbish. You're not going to defoul our church with that, whatever it is you're wearing, and come back dressed as something nice, and then you'll get some lollies. I mean, that's a little bit problematic. That's a barrier to belonging at the most basic level.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think. It's 1 Corinthians 9:22, I think. Paul said, "But we become all things to all people, that by all possible means we might save some."
Yeah.
So I would simply say, if a person turns up at our church on a Sunday morning and they've clearly been drinking, and they're dressed really shabbily and whatever else, we say welcome.
Yeah.
And, in other words, so if a person turns up at our light party, as people do, and they're dressed as ghosts and whatever else, well, they clearly didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
But they're welcome, because we're the church and we love people, no matter what it is about them. We look to the heart of a person, not to the external appearance. And they might be dressed as a ghost or a demon, but we see them as a person, and we invite them back to church, and we invite them to youth group, we invite them to Sunday school and to parenting courses. So, yeah, I think we have to be bigger than that. But we get to choose. Like there's a great saying, we're only responsible for what we have the right and ability to control.
Yeah.
We can't control other people, but we can control what we do. I will not celebrate darkness, but I will celebrate light. But I want to do more than provide an alternative. I want to communicate something. And I think finding that segue is what I actually think we need to educate ourselves on as the church. There is a history here behind Halloween to be uncovered, because it's actually a Christian festival. So that's something that needs unpacking.
And honestly, maybe it's conversation, it's a relationship. And if your church is having the biggest party in your community, if you've got the bouncy castles and sausage sizzle and all that sort of stuff, when the kids are patrolling the neighbourhoods, hopefully with a responsible or semi-responsible adult, then they're going to go, oh, well, this looks good. And if the church says, yeah, come in, it's free, you're welcome. Perhaps that's not the time to give them 4 spiritual laws and a sermon about the evils of Halloween, but it's a time to say, hey, we're part of your community. Nice to see you here. Here's some other things that may be useful to you as you do life in this community.
Well, to engage the conversation, I'm not sure about that, Andrew.
Yeah.
Because I think it comes down to the skill of a communicator, and this is where I think there's a whole new set of learning that we could do as the Christian church to engage with this. Halloween isn't going to go away. It exists because of money. It's got nothing to do with demonic stuff here. It's businesses making money. That's why it exists.
Yeah.
But it's venerating things that are evil, and we don't want to do that. So what's the story? And I put to you that the story is that there's 3 stories. Now, if we learn the 3 stories that sit behind Halloween, we create a segue to talk about why Christianity is amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the segue we should be taking. The first story is a pagan festival amongst our Celtic ancestors who were scared of the demons who came out for the dark of winter, who destroyed crops, and you would make sacrifices to them to protect your crops and get their favor. This included sacrificing crops, animals, and human beings.
Wow.
They would create large effigies of a man made of wood, and they would stuff people inside it. They would light it, and then you'd need loud music so you didn't have to listen to whatever followed that.
Wow.
These are our Celtic ancestors, where they came from, right? But then Christianity came to England. They embraced Christianity. And so the Samhain festival, so it's not Halloween, it's called Samhain. The Samhain festival lost its meaning. In which case, the question was asked, we still have this culture of stopping to celebrate every year, but we no longer believe the pagan idolatrous meaning that was behind it. So Pope Gregory III said, how about instead of, you're not going to stop your festival, it's in your culture, it's your habit. How about you change the meaning? And he started what's called All Hallows Day, alternatively All Saints Day. And to catch the meaning, this is celebrating the saints who brought the light which replaced the darkness.
Wow.
Why celebrate the saints, All Saints Day? Because life became better, because we began to value the individual, because we were no longer scared of darkness, because we realized Christ's power had defeated the power of darkness. We became more charitable, there was more equality. In every way, society became better because of Christianity. And that's why our ancestors created All Hallows Day, from which All Hallows Day Eve, Halloween, a Christian name, came from. So that's the story. While the third story, because I can't talk for too long in one go, is commercialism, because businessmen worked out with the potato famine in Ireland, Irish flee to America, they've lost cultural identity, they begin to play games connected to the Samhain festival. Businessmen 70 years later work out they could make money. So it's not even an American cultural festival. It only started in the early 1900s there, and because of money. 3 stories: the Samhain festival, paganism; Second, Christianity, which is where Halloween comes from. And thirdly, money. Tell the three stories, we get to answer the question, why did Christianity make our society better? Why did our ancestors abandon paganism in favour of light? And that's a great segue to invite people back to church and to even share a personal testimony as to how God can change our lives. Look, enjoy your games, grab some lollies, but anytime you're looking for light, anytime you're struggling with fear, come down to church, because we believe in the power of light over darkness and we all need that. So I think there's more we can say.
There's a wonderful opportunity to start some conversations, to build a relationship, to engage with what is a cultural, commercial festival. And hey, this applies to other times of the year. I know you guys are gearing up for Hope Christmas this year, but hey, that conversation for another time. Dave, really appreciate what you guys do. Thanks for joining us on the program today.
Right. Cheers, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.